This is the December 17th, 2025 meeting of the Town of Newry, Maine Planning Board. This meeting will come to order. My name is Ted Baker, and I am the chairperson for the board. This is a public proceeding, and you, the public, have the right to hear everything that is being said, unless the board votes to enter into executive session per Maine's Freedom of Access Act. You also have the right to review any of the materials created or received by the board that relate to the board's deliberation, unless state law makes that document confidential. Please notify the board if you are unable to hear or if you would like to access any material. Tonight is being audio recorded. If you would like or need access to this or previous meeting audio recordings, please see the town administrator. I would also like to welcome Western Hill Access Television and its viewers. If you have not already done so and you are here present in the meeting place, please sign in. Walter, I think you already signed in, so I think we're all set. This is a working session of the Planning Board. Maine's Freedom of Access law entitles the public to attend the meeting, take notes of the meeting, and make an audio or video recording of the meeting. The board's policy is not to allow public comment during the meeting. However, as chairperson, I may allow exceptions when it is in the interest of the board. An example of an exception would be to allow an unbutter to address the board. By the Newry Planning Board bylaws, this meeting may not last more than 2.5 hours. The meeting may be extended by 30-minute increments if a motion to extend with a pro vote is made for each 30-minute increment. If the meeting is not extended, any remaining agenda items or discussions will be tabled at that time. Tonight's agenda includes the following business: election of officers, a proposal to adopt rules of procedure, a proposal to reorganize the sections of the UDRO. Prior to attending to the above business, we have some other procedures to go. The first of all, which is election of officers. Cindy White was appointed earlier this month by the Select Board and filled the vacancy left by John Gauthier, resignation. Elections were not.
Pardon me, Ted. I might have been typing when you did it, but did you confirm the form?
Hang on.
Oh, okay.
But yes, thank you for.
Well, I just wanted to do that before the election.
Yep.
Okay.
Per the board's bylaws, the elections were not held on 12/03/2025 meetings since the full board was not present. Go back to where I was here. Elections were, we just did that. Per the board's bylaws, the officers are a chair, vice chair, and secretary. Per the bylaws, vacancies shall be filled via the election process, and officers elected tonight will serve until the next annual meeting of the board, normally held at the beginning of the first regular meeting in July of each year. For the record, we have a quorum present. Myself, Heidi Murata, and Cindy White are.
You got it right?
I got it. I have a tough time with that one. Are present, so we are in a position where we can enter into elections, and I will now entertain nominations for the position of chair.
I would like to nominate Cindy White as vice chair.
Well, no,
Oh,
the
chair.
position of chair.
of
So
chair.
you're
Of
doing
chair.
all the positions again?
Is that?
You're doing all the positions?
Yeah,
Oh.
yes.
Oh.
Because otherwise, well, I
Okay.
guess, I hadn't thought about that, but you could resign as secretary and, or if we wanted to, we could just make Cindy, as you said, just nominate her
Vice chair.
for that. But I think to be fair, the whole slate should be reviewed.
Reshuffled?
Reviewed, not reshuffled, but just reviewed and re-elected.
Or reshuffled, however you feel fit.
Yeah, so at least that's my position. Cindy, what's your feeling on it?
So let me just make sure I understand, there's 3 ones and there's 3 of us on the board, so
We
everybody has to
we each
take
get
one.
one.
Each get one. As I'm new to it, I guess I would prefer vice chair over secretary, because wouldn't begin to know what I'm supposed to be taking any notes on for at that,
Yeah.
or not.
I mean, I guess that the position of vice chair has to run the meeting in
Yeah.
absence of the chair.
What does the secretary do, because Becky takes amazing
Well,
minutes.
I do the recording secretary, so she's the board secretary.
The
Yeah.
duties are outlined in the bylaws. Most of those are either being covered by Becky as recording secretary and by Joelle as a courtesy to the board and being the point person for receiving things.
So maybe it makes more sense then for Heidi to be vice chair in the,
Well,
and she does.
She
We're
does
both
have,
new.
she does
Oh,
have,
you're new too?
she
Oh,
does
yeah,
have 4
I like
months of
that.
seniority.
Oh, that's, okay. Heidi doesn't matter to me.
It doesn't matter to me either. I think that we'd need a lot of hand holding anyway, because we haven't really had that much experience for
Yeah.
the process, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's just go through the whole slate, and I will entertain nominations for the position of chair.
I nominate Ted Baker as chair.
Okay.
I second that.
And I do not refuse the nomination with a second to nominate yours truly as the chair of the board has been made. Any discussion from anybody?
Thank you for your service.
I will then proceed with a vote.
1,
2.
3. Let the record show that I retained the chair. I was just getting comfortable too. Okay, I will now entertain nominations for the position of vice chair, and I will nominate Heidi Murata as vice chair.
I'll second that.
Will you accept the
Yes.
nomination? A nomination with a second for vice chair has been made. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor? 1.
2.
3.
Right. Let the record show that Heidi Murata has moved up to vice chair. Finally, we will entertain nomination for the position of secretary. I will nominate Cindy White as secretary.
Second.
Will you accept?
Yes.
Okay. A nomination with a second to, for the secretary has been made. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will take a vote. 1,
2.
Great.
and congratulations, Cindy. You're now the secretary.
Thank you, Becky.
That will close election of officers. Let's now move on to attendance, which we have already discussed. But, for the record, Ted Baker is the chair, Heidi Murata is now the vice chair, and Cindy White is the secretary. Meredith Harrop is an alternate, but she is not here tonight. And also let the record show that we have a quorum again. Voting eligibility, a voting member that was absent for the previous meeting is not eligible to vote on unfinished business unless they have completed an affidavit stating that they have reviewed the materials for the missed meeting, read the draft minutes, and have listened to the audio recording for the meeting. We have no unfinished applications. The unfinished business we have are just internal business for the board, such as the rules of procedure and the amendments to the UDRO. We made no votes at the last meeting. I do not have any I have no problems with Heidi being able to vote tonight on these matters.
I would just need to abstain from the prior minutes meeting, because I
Yes,
did not listen
yes.
to the audio.
Yes, that is true. Having reviewed voting eligibility, I will now move on to the minutes of the prior meeting. Does any member of the board have any edits or comments on the minutes? Cindy? I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. I will second that. A motion with a second to approve the minutes as drafted has been made. All those in favor?
1.
2.
Abstain.
The minutes have been approved. Moving on to business, our first order of business is correspondence received. Any member of the board have any correspondence to enter into the minutes? Does the code enforcement officer have any correspondence to enter into the minutes?
I have two.
In my
Our,
packet, Joelle?
no, they are not.
Okay.
One is the public hearing. Publication in the Sun Journal was published today. Town of Newry public notice, planning board public hearing. The Town of Newry Planning Board will hold a public hearing at the Newry Town Office, 422 Bear River Road, Newry, on January 7th, 2026 at 6 p.m. to hear and discuss public comment of the proposed amendments to the Unified Development Review Ordinance. And they cut us off on my print, sorry. A summary of the changes may be viewed at the Newry Town Office after December 23rd, 2025, Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. In addition, interested parties may submit written comment to ceo@newrymaine.org. And Becky, I can email this to you if you're okay with that.
Sure, yeah.
We will be discussing that public hearing here shortly.
Yes, we will. And then the second correspondence, which I have sent out, and this is just to inform the board because it says in our ordinance that I'm supposed to inform you. I am the inspector for the Monkey Brook subdivision. This was a subdivision that was passed back in May? I'm gonna say May. They started construction on the site work, which is the only part of the work I was going to inspect. There was 2 detention ponds, and several shared driveways that I was going to inspect as the site work was completed. On November 3rd, I noticed some deficiencies on my inspection, sent notices of such, got a response from the project developer saying, we'll get right to work on this. 2 weeks later, nothing changed. 2 weeks after that, nothing had changed. 2 weeks after that, nothing had changed. And I sent my final notice on the 4th of December saying, you know, and they're not even corresponding with me at this point. So I went to the select board, asked them if I could do an enforcement action. They said yes. I write my violation letter, and I've given them until January 20th to get the work completed and to show me a contract with a certified erosion control certified contractor. And I haven't heard anything. He got an email copy, and then of course certified mail could take weeks. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But I just want to inform the board, you all approved that project. I think you approved me as the inspecting
We did.
official.
We did.
So I like
As
to-
did the.
As the select board did, yeah. So I have all of this along with all the different inspection reports, if anybody's interested in seeing all of that. And Becky, do you want a copy of this letter, or are you happy just to know that I've done the
If
violation?
you wanna send me the copy of the letter.
Yeah.
Just so I can put the date in my notes and everything.
Okay.
Because I miss it when we talked about.
Any questions from the board concerning the enforcement letter? Hearing none, we will proceed to the next item of business. Proposed rules of procedure. This project has been tabled for the last couple of ones. Does anybody have any questions or comments on the project? If not, my plan is to table it again since we have more important and time-critical items to discuss. Any opposition to tabling?
I second that, that's great.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Let the record show that the proposed rules of procedures have been tabled. Proposed changes to the UDRO.
I'll put until the board's
Okay.
next meeting, is that okay?
Yeah, for the next meeting, it'll probably be tabled again.
Right, we'll make that decision.
Rolling table.
I think it's got
That's
wheels.
what's better known as casters, right? All right, let's move into the more time-sensitive and critical parts, and that is proposed changes to the UDRO. At the last meeting, we went through changes in the definitions, and there were some comments there that I think I picked up, although I missed one already that I saw. But before we, well, I guess I should have, was there any questions on that last meeting, Cindy? And Heidi, unfortunately, you weren't here, but.
No, I did read all your
Okay.
comments that you sent.
And we'll be talking a lot more about definitions anyway, so don't. What I would like to do is direct your attention to the UDRO 2026 timeline. That's a one-page in your packet. And what I did here is working in conjunction with the town administrator was to work backwards and identified the most probable date for the town meeting, which is May 12th of 2026. And then work backwards with both the criteria that both the town, the select board, and the planning board have to meet in order to get to that point where any amendments, changes to the ordinance will be presented at town meeting. And I worked backwards and came up with this timeline. The 3rd of December, which was the first one we've already come and gone, that's where I presented the first cut on the new draft. We will continue, and then, on Monday, I presented this timeline to the select board, so that they're aware of what we're doing as well as their responsibilities in order to get this to happen. Tonight, we're going to continue reviewing the project timeline, discussing changes, etc. The first critical thing that we have to have happen is on our next meeting in January, the 7th, is a public hearing to discuss the proposed changes. So while the proposed changes are for the most part complete, there are some changes, plus I'm sure there'll be some discussion coming in here. My goal is to, well, not my goal, my deadline for getting this out is to make it available for a public review on the 23rd of December. So I have tomorrow and basically Monday, since I'm not available Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, to incorporate any discussion items that we had tonight and any other final changes to the ordinance. At which point, then the entire ordinance, all 30 sections of it, will be made available to the public for reading. And so that's the first one. After the 7th, after the public hearing, depending on how long that takes, we will continue the board work session discussing changes and any comments that were made at the public hearing. And on the 21st of January, we should be looking at having our draft pretty much wrapped up. Whatever we want to proceed. On the 3rd of February, the select board needs to approve sending the draft of the UDRO to Perkin Thompson for legal review. I'm giving Perkin Thompson's the month of February to review that document and get it back to us by the end of February, early March. On our first meeting in March, on the 4th of March, we'll look at the review comments from Perkin Thompson and decide how to proceed with those comments. And on the 18th of March, we need to approve the final draft. On the 7th of April, the select board must certify the final draft. It says approve here, but they actually need to certify it, at which point then they will, at some time after that, they will put it onto the warrant. And after it goes on the warrant, the select board needs to have a public hearing on not only this ordinance, but any other ordinances that are being changed. And then finally, we get the town meeting. So things are moving at good clip, to say the least. Any questions on the timeline?
Sounds good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Next, in front of you, you have a document that's titled UDRO 2026 Proposed Changes. This is a quick summary of I broke down the changes that we are working on in the UDRO and kind of detailed them here in a little more explanation as to, so people can figure out what's happening. It's a combination of both changes that are brought on to by state law that has been enacted that we have to respond to, as well as just the board's, hopefully the board's desire to improve and enhance the existing ordinance. On page 2, I talk about the current situation with how the UDRO is currently organized, and the fact that we've had material inserted into general performance standards that really don't belong there, and that has driven the idea of getting those out of there, and making them their own separate sections. In paragraph 3, we're correcting deficiencies noted in the application reviews. And there, we have recent application review identified several deficiencies in the UDRO, primarily with parking, vehicle entrance, access, and first responder access. And so I am I have drafted a subsection to the parking and entrance section that deals with vehicular entranceways. And then I've also drafted a complete separate section which is for first responder access and fire lanes, and we'll be looking at that later tonight. Section 4 is talking about LD 427. 427 was passed in July and is in effect now, and went into effect on September 24th. It affects us by very much changing our parking requirements for different developments, and particularly any development that has dwelling units. And that is in tonight's, I have included that in tonight's review as well. LD 9997 and 1826 don't go into effect until July of 2027. And in discussions with the main office of community affairs, who is the subject matter expert for these two LDs, I have learned that they are implementing their rulemaking is currently in effect or being drafted, could be approved by as early as January, and that may have some changes as to the impact that those two LDs will have on us. And so my recommendation there is to delay implementing those two LDs until 2027, so that would be town meeting 2027. And by then, hopefully the dust on these two LDs will have settled, and we'd have a clearer course of action that the state requires us to take.
Ted, just a typo in your section 5.1 there in the year, at the bottom of page 3 or 5.
Page 3 or 5, there's a
Yeah,
typo.
June of 2025, I think you know.
29, 25, boy, we're all dust.
Oh, yes, there is.
Just to let you know.
Okay. In the year 29, 25, if Ted is still alive. Okay, thank you, Heidi. Okay, that's why we have other people look at this stuff. Okay, and finally, section 7 are miscellaneous deletions, edits, and additions. And those are minor edits to the UDRO to either get terminology in sync with what it should be, or take care of a couple of housekeeping things that have escaped review over the years. So we will be talking about that in the weeks to come. Questions on the quick and dirty summary of why we're doing this?
All good.
All right, let's now start looking at some, I know we discussed definitions last time, but they are in front of you printed. The first one I noticed is I forgot to make the change for abutters. So if you go to page 2, and the definition for abutters, pen and ink, 500 feet instead of 1,000 feet. And we discussed that at the last meeting, and I think everybody, there were no really objections to that. The second addition that will be happening is on page 3, between associated facilities and automobile graveyard recycling junkyards, will be a new definition for authority having jurisdiction, also known as AHJ, which is, comes from the National Fire Protection Association -1, and is a term that is used in the proposed section 21, which is first responder access and fire lanes.
Which one are you,
Yeah.
where are you looking at right now?
I'm on the the third page of definitions.
Yeah.
If you look down, you see associated facilities,
Yeah.
and then you see automobile graveyards.
Yeah.
In there, put a pen and ink insertion.
Oh, okay, we're inserting, gotcha.
Oh,
Okay, these are the ones that escaped my attention.
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
okay.
go again, please.
And I don't think I have any other pen and ink
Nope.
changes.
I think
Go,
you're-
go, you need
Oh,
to
you want
repeat,
that in there?
I need you to repeat what you said.
Okay.
Because we were all trying to
Okay,
find out
new,
what
new definition
Yep.
to be inserted between associated facilities and automobile graveyard recycling junkyards.
Mm-hmm,
The new definition is authority having jurisdiction, abbreviated AHJ, Alpha Hotel Juliet. The definition hasn't been written yet, but it comes from the National Fire Protection Association -1 publication, and is used in the proposed section 21, or will be used, or is used in the proposed section 21, which is first responder access and fire lanes. And we'll get to that when we'll be reviewing that section 21.
it's used in the plumbing code, it's used in the electrical code, it's used in the building code. So for me, it's,
For you, it's,
I'm already it,
Yeah.
but I know what it is. Others may not.
I do not have any other pen and ink corrections to definitions. Before we move on, does anybody have any questions, comments? Would they, anything they'd like to add?
I can't remember what was the one that, there was something we were going back and forth on a little bit that was. We get the definition.
Building height, height of building, probably, which I decided to leave as is for now. That might change when, in 2027, when we take up LD 1849.
Yeah.
But, I think that was the one we vacillated on somewhat.
Kind of structure.
Height of structure, right. Walter, feel free to, I will relax my hard-ass rule, I shouldn't say that, my strict rule about public participation.
Well, if I feel like I can make a contribution, I will, thank you,
Oh, that was the one, was residents, we were talking about.
Oh, residents. Oh,
And now
that's-
I see you have in there as residents, you put C
See,
dwelling,
right,
yeah, that
right.
makes sense.
And I crossed out the old one, so that
Yeah.
was a change from last week.
Yeah.
When you did the word search, did you find?
It's used in many
Is
locations,
it?
yeah, yeah, and I said, well, I can go do
Right,
replace and,
yeah,
find and replace and have to either make a lot of explanations, or I could just say, hey,
yeah.
And residence is in everyday use, we use it every day, but we use it in different, you know, it's kind of like Xerox.
Yeah.
So this kind of tidies that up a little bit. Anybody else have any other comments, questions, additions?
Just the slightest typo.
Oh, where is that?
Right below residence, resort,
Residence,
and then resort-based uses,
right below residence, what?
where it's resort-based uses.
Resort-based uses,
Yeah, uses normally associated with,
a resort.
thank you.
That was not me.
I told you it was like the slightest typo.
I will, can I say really small, really minor edit?
Someone else is gonna catch it.
Thank you, Becky. There probably more like the other end of it. You know, we gotta leave something for next year and the next planning board and whatnot, so. Okay. Let's move on now and let's take a look at changes to section 19, road design and construction standards. And there you can see that there is, under subsection A, there is a new paragraph, paragraph number 2. I'll give everybody a chance to read it.
So how do you do that if you don't own both properties?
Put it in the ordinance.
Um,
Well, okay,
Because
so.
it says that it's requiring private roads outside the subdivision to be improved,
Right,
but,
so that, in all likelihood, would be the subdivider that's putting in the application would be an additional cost to them to make that happen or to negotiate with the third party that owns the private road.
They probably need an easement to get through if they're having to travel on that private road, wouldn't they need an
Yes.
easement to get back to their
I can-
subdivision?
Mm-hmm.
And so to do that easement, that would be part of that.
We already have
So,
several of those in place.
The take here is that, we have a vast network of private roads that are in existence. And, either before 1992 when the UDRO took effect or afterwards, but nonetheless, they're here. A lot of them are probably existing non-compliant when it comes to road standards. And then come along, let's take a hypothetical, a large subdivision up Monkey Brook Road, either in this town or the adjoining town, and they choose to exercise their right-of-way down Monkey Brook. Monkey Brook may or may not be in compliance with that, with a primary, the design standards for a primary road. It might already be saturated for its use.
Right.
And now you're aggravating the saturation by bringing in an additional development. And so this would require that from the edge of the development to the connecting town road, anything in between would have to be brought up to standard.
That
Is,
seems like a hardship on somebody if they have their property already, but I'm just trying to figure out how that would fly, like, for really extensive roads.
I hear what you're saying with that, but at the same time, the counter to that would be,
Safety on the.
safety and oversaturation of a road that wasn't designed for that use.
Yeah.
the term you use, oversaturation, is that a?
No,
Is that-
I just came up with
No, but I
that.
mean, is there some way that it's knowable, like, what's the volume that this road can carry?
Is
Yeah,
there a formula?
Department of Transportation does
No.
have a formula for trips developed from a residential, like, so you have like, I wanna say, like 12 trips per day out of your home, is what DOT says you could have.
Yeah.
So if you multiply that by a 30 or 40 dwelling units in Riley Township, but they're gonna be utilizing a private section of Monkey Brook Road and then the town section of Monkey Brook Road, it's a lot of trips.
Right,
Yeah.
and, it's easy to imagine that occurring with the rate of development that we're seeing. So, then what then, so Newry then it's on Newry to upgrade Monkey Brook Road, or?
Not on Newry, it
Just
would
the
be,
private road.
well, for one thing, the
Oh, the developer would
the
have-
developer would have to show proof that either the road is suitable or what would have to be done to bring it up,
Yeah.
and they would have to make
Okay.
that happen.
Most of Monkey
What if-
Brook Road is private.
Okay,
What
That's
if
private.
the people that own the private road don't want it improved? You're saying that effectively somebody could block them from doing the road improvement?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So if somebody has a private road
Yeah.
that they own, and then someone else is trying to do a development,
Mm-hmm.
that person could say, no, you can't improve my road, I don't want you to touch it, so you can't do your development. Cause you're saying like, you're putting the onus on the developer maybe to have to improve the road, not necessarily on the owner, cause they can't improve their lot. But what you're saying is that that person that owns that road could say, no, you can't improve the road, you can't do your development.
Yeah, but, because they would need an easement to get
Right.
through to their,
Well-
they're gonna.
It's not,
The-
they
The,
need that easement?
well, the easement's already there.
Right.
But not for necessarily new development though. If a new development goes in, they've gotta be able to access that private road, and is that private road?
Well, yes, and that easement, again, in the scenario that we have concocted, would probably have to be negotiated with the owner of the private road, because I don't think that easement exists.
Yeah.
But, let's just take another hypothetical, there's a private road in town, and, there is a large undeveloped parcel that relies on that private road, which is not theirs, for their access to the properties, therefore they already have the easement by law. But now, and let's just say that this private road is just a dirt path. Just an unimproved dirt road. And, this party wants to come in and develop a 50-lot subdivision. And their primary access is this unimproved dirt road that belongs to a third party. They already have the easement because that was there and it's in their deed.
If they have that easement to begin with.
But the easement already
it'd
exists.
be landlocked, so they can get to their
Yeah,
property.
so it's landmarked, so this is the easement that they have. They wanna put in this 50-house subdivision. and it's readily apparent that the unimproved gravel road is insufficient for that level of use.
Hmm.
So Maine state law doesn't allow any portion of land to become landlocked, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So that's in
Right,
the state law?
right, right.
Okay.
In order for that lot to have been created,
For those lines to have been drawn,
For those
they had
lines
to-
to-
when they had to be able to show.
they had to be able to show
that there
access.
was, so if they had split off land at some point, you had to show that everything had a,
Yeah.
oh, interesting,
Right.
yeah.
And so, it virtually might be the old cow path that has been there since 1800s.
Yeah.
And by just continuous use of cows, and then cars, and then hikers and mountain bikers, it has become an easement.
I have a question, if I may. Does the town have, like, does it track, like, each road within the town, whether it be town road or private road, what road standard that road was built to? So, and therefore, how many lots or dwelling units can be accessed from that road?
We don't have it down to that, to the numbers, no.
Because I'm
But
guessing
we-
some of these have already, like the
Exceeded.
neighborhood road is only supposed to be, is it 40? I don't remember now, or 60?
60 units or
60
something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing there's probably some neighborhood roads out there that with other subdivisions have
Exceeded that.
exceeded
Mhm.
that limit.
So we don't track them by number of units. We typically take the approved subdivision plan. There have been roads that the town took possession of,
Right,
that did not meet our standards,
yeah.
and there was nobody babysitting the developer who put the roads in. Cul-de-sacs at the end of them that you can't turn a full-size pickup truck around and run a fire truck. There are roads that are too narrow for the amount of traffic that they currently see.
Right,
There are roads that didn't meet the corner radiuses. I mean, there's a whole bunch of, that we took
I'm guessing-
possession of.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
guessing some of them
What's-
were grandfathered in, but I didn't know.
No, these
if
were
that-
all approved after the UDRO, there was just nobody
Oh, yeah.
babysitting.
So I didn't know if that would inhibit more future subdivisions from being approved.
It
Because
could.
The road doesn't even support what is,
If you mean if somebody wanted to like extend off a current subdivision road and go further in,
right,
most definitely. That would be a standard, and I think that's what our goal is with this
Right.
addition.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it seems like there should be like an inventory of town roads and,
We have town roads we take care of, but as far as private ones,
yeah, an inventory of
so
the
much.
private ones and what standard they were built to when the application was approved.
I just go back into the registry and find the
Yeah.
print and see what it says.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What's the method of approval for town roads to be adopted?
They have to be built to town standards.
And be approved, and be accepted by town meeting.
Yeah.
And what about pre-existing?
Again, they have to prove that they were built to the correct standard, and they get approved by the voters of Newry at town meeting. The applicant would petition the select board would say, yeah, we'll put it on the warrant.
So I guess my question for you then is the ones that have been approved that don't meet
Yeah.
standards, is Newry slowly improving those roads?
Yeah, very slowly. Yeah, we can't take corner radiuses out. I mean, that would involve private property and eminent domain to take somebody's land to improve a corner radius or a cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sacs.
Yes, that would be tough to do at this point. We maintain our 5-year schedule of asphalt and replace culverts as needed, that type of thing.
Got it.
Yeah,
and width,
And-
they sometimes increase the width,
we can't,
right?
we would have to take away private property.
Unless the right of way is already there.
The right of ways may be there, correct, yeah.
If the right of way
Yeah.
is there, and it's just that the road is too narrow, then.
Yeah.
So, a couple of answers to a couple questions. One is, Walter, besides the DOT formula for calculating usage, the UDRO also has 3 levels of roads, classification of roads: neighborhood road, secondary road, and primary road. And going to what Becky said, a neighborhood road is intended to be solely within a subdivision. It's not intended to be connecting multiple subdivisions. At that point, that road needs to be elevated to a secondary road and/or a primary road, depending on the level of usage that it will be encountering. The right-of-way for a neighborhood road is 50 feet. The right-of-way for a secondary or primary road is 60 feet. Now, there are some existing non-compliant roads that probably the right-of-way is not defined. And so it may be difficult to establish a 50-foot right-of-way on certain neighborhood roads that were been in use since the 50s, 40s, or whatever.
Wait, just point of order, it does note here the secondary roads are 50 foot for right of way also.
Oh, okay, I stand corrected. I thought it was 60, but you're right, it's 50. You caught me there. Good,
I
good
was just
job.
looking at this page, and it's like, what, I'm like, oh, it is designed.
So, and Heidi, in your, to answer your concern or to address your concern, it could be that Perk and Thompson just says,
Yeah, that may be, but we know that there is a plan to expand into Riley for the resort area. And if that's the case, then they're gonna be traveling on Newry roads as well as a private property owner's right of way or easement, road that they have built.
well, yeah, and then let's just take private roads out of the picture. Let's say they plan to use Sunday River Road
Yeah.
as the access to Riley.
Mhm.
And so now Sunday River, the last portion of it is unimproved.
Right.
And whether or not it even comes close to meeting as an unimproved road per our ordinance is probably questionable. So if you were going to put in a large subdivision and say, well, hey, we're gonna use the town road,
Right.
then the town's gonna sit there and say, yeah, that's fine, but you're gonna improve it.
And that's if we get asked.
Yeah.
Because LUPC is the people that are gonna approve anything going on out in unorganized territory. Yes, Heidi, that's exactly the reaction I expected.
Annex Riley.
Land Use Planning Commission, formerly known as LURC,
I was
Land
gonna say,
Use
I thought it was
Regulatory
called LURC,
Commission.
But that's,
It's called
That's-
LUPC now.
Yeah, land
Yes.
use planning
PC.
commission.
And that's statewide or Oxford County?
Statewide.
Statewide,
Statewide.
any unorganized,
They could approve a development in Riley that would impact traffic on Newry Road, and Newry has nothing to say. about that.
other than going to the public hearing, probably we don't have much to say about it.
Right.
right, because it wouldn't have, because it's an unorganized territory, so it's not like adjoining municipalities
Right.
like Bethel and Newry.
Right.
have-
No.
Now, we could hope that the land use planning commission would be sympathetic to,
Is that in Oxford County?
No,
that's a
statewide.
state,
No, but I mean, when they're dealing in Riley.
No, they break the state up in different sections. There's like the northwest section. It doesn't follow
Oh,
county
So
lines.
it's not like it's the
No,
commissioner of
no,
whatever.
sadly, no.
Oxford.
No, and even then, no different than our planning board, they have a bunch of typed words on paper that say you will comply with this. And whether they're sympathetic to Newry or not, if we don't fit in their boxes, thanks Newry, see ya, and out the door we walk. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I mean, they have their rules just like we do, and we may not check that box. We'll see.
It's
Yeah.
interesting from a legal standpoint, could Newry say, fine, build whatever you want, but you can't use our road? for access, I mean,
I'm sure there's state law that's not allowed, but yeah. Scarborough, anything built in Scarborough, whether it's on Payne Road or not, you pay a Payne Road impact fee. Because it's a main travel way. So just as an example. Every town does things a little different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it has to be built in Scarborough,
Correct.
so like,
South
like
Portland.
Newry could charge an impact fee for everyone building in Newry, but they can't charge an impact fee for
Riley.
Riley.
Right.
So an impact fee is another interesting comment. Thank you for bringing it.
Yeah.
This is maybe an impact, the equivalent of an impact fee.
Yeah.
Only instead of affecting a town road, it affects not only a town road, but it also potentially affects a private road.
At our public hearing, our local stakeholders are getting a private invite, so they're not kept in, I don't want anybody in the dark with these amendments and changes. I mean, I want everybody to have, they may say something that we hadn't thought of. So stakeholders are getting invited also.
Good discussion, and I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll be looking at this some more, but as I said, again, Perkin Thompson might just say
Yeah,
unenforceable.
we're crazy, we can't do that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it fits into with the idea of if there'll be any reaction to any limits on trying to increase housing, if they'll,
Yeah, Oh,
just
yeah.
look at it from that angle.
that's
Oh,
That's gonna be an interesting.
That's a hot topic.
Oh, it is,
I don't
I'm
see how
sure,
that's
but-
gonna fly in Newry, but yeah.
okay. Let's move on to.
Heidi, did you have something? You were raising your right your hand.
Do real estate brokers in the town attend public hearings as far as like transactions that may be pending or?
It depends on how excited they get about hearing what we're doing. The vacation rental, review ordinance, VRRO.
Yeah.
We had a number of realtors come and actually comment, sent me emails. I mean, we had a bunch of people looking at that ordinance, so it depends.
Well, there's a lot of large parcels though that are for sale.
Yes, there are.
And so that's why I'm questioning.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether or not there's broker associations that,
I would probably, the ones that reach out to me, I'd probably just send it directly to them. And say, hey, we're having a public hearing,
And-
you might wanna come.
yeah.
I think for the most part, most of the real estate agents that play in Newry are following what this board is doing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they should be informed and forthright with their sales.
Well, yes, and I work, most of them based in Bethel, Newry are great, and they communicate with me really well. I'm gonna communicate with them.
Mhm.
So, yeah, they're, in that regard, we have very open door policy.
Okay, in section A, paragraph 3, there's a minor, or there's an edit there, replacing the use of the word primary with secondary or neighborhood roads.
You're still looking at roads?
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
okay.
still in section 19.
Okay.
We're down in section A3, there's where primary has been replaced with secondary or neighborhood roads.
Mhm.
The use of primary here, I think, was being used in a different context and could be confused with a primary road definition. And so I thought it was
Makes
best just to get that out of there and put in the proper words there.
Yeah.
So now let's move over to section B4, and that's the design standards for road classifications. And if you go to the end of that table, which is 1, 2, 3, page 4, we're actually on page 3 at the bottom, you'll see notes. And while I didn't cross it out, I removed it. In notes, there used to be a note number 1 that I pulled out and made its own separate paragraph, which is in paragraph 5, in the following page. So we kind of the old UDRO kind of talked about inclines and grades, that did it in a small font, tucked away as a note to that table,
Yeah.
which made it very difficult to follow. And it actually didn't even refer to it as the table itself never had anything that referred to it. It was just a note that was in there, self-standing. So I pulled that note out and put in, made two new additional paragraphs, 5 and 6, which are on page 4.
Does 5C need an extra 0 for 1,500 feet?
Which one?
5C,
5C, a grade of 15% is permitted for 150, no, that's 150 feet.
it is 100?
Yeah, because it's a
Okay.
15% grade. You don't
Okay.
want a 15% grade is not allowed for any length greater than 150 feet. Otherwise, it would be unclimbable.
So it's not, okay. It says, but it says shall be. Okay.
Maximum grades on primary and secondary roads shall be as follows. A grade of 15% is permitted for 150 feet. So you can't have a 15% grade that's 175 feet in length.
Okay.
Yes, Becky?
So I have another
Michael?
thing, well, it's a tiny, tiny thing, but it can change the definition of this.
Where are we at?
Quite a bit. In notes number 1,
Notes number 1, okay?
so this standard applies to road intersections to any non-town maintained primary, I think that comma right there needs to go out, because should it be non-town maintained primary, secondary, and/or neighborhood roads? Like, that first comma,
Oh, yeah.
that needs to go.
Get
away.
that first comment out of there?
Yeah,
Okay.
because that,
Yeah.
yeah, because that makes the list start with non-maintained. So it's not non-town maintained, or primary, or secondary,
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
or neighborhood. Yeah,
Yeah,
so that,
that you, oh, yeah, go ahead, oh, sorry.
you know, that first comma should go away.
And is for 5 and 6 that you pulled out from notes,
Yes.
is there any change to that?
No.
Or is that just as it was, it's
Just as it
pulled out to
was,
make it more
just as it
clear?
was, and that was I probably did it before I was saying, oh, I should have just crossed it out.
So it sounds like you made no change to it.
I made no change for it, I just elevated it.
Yeah,
And in fact, if you go into, section 15 of the UDRO, you'll find the table there and you can see the old note.
yeah, no, it
For
makes
reference.
sense to make it more clear.
I just, when I get memorized. the
Section
sections-
14.
Section 14, 15 is parking, right, yeah, 14. Then down in, section, subparagraph 8, dead ends in A, I added appendix 1, exhibit A, just to help with the, reference. They used to be in the old UDRO, section 25 was diagrams that were referenced elsewhere. And in the new layout, that section has been taken out and put back in as an appendix, as opposed to a bona fide section, so therefore we can still add, in the future, add new sections without having to worry about moving the diagrams down the line. So appendix 1 just cleans up the reference to where to go to find that exhibit A. And you'll see that in a couple of places there. Okay. And now we're down to section C, road construction standards. Paragraph 2, preparation. Subparagraph F, the deletion of the word corrugated metal. And I'll let the code enforcement officer address that one.
In the 15 years I've been code enforcement officer, and even before that as a contractor, we were all getting away from metal culverts. The smooth bore plastic are easier to flush, they're easier to keep clean, and they don't freeze like the metal ones do. When you have to thaw these out with the corrugations, it's nothing we use anymore in construction. We use the solid bore plastic. Corrugated, they look corrugated on the outside, but the inside's smooth on the plastic ones, so, yeah. We haven't used corrugated metal in construction sites.
Was it done that way, the corrugated metal at the time for structural to make it?
Probably, plastics weren't what they are today.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, interesting, yeah.
And as we replace them throughout the town, we go strictly plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, on town road.
And Joel, then there's a question for you on section E, road names and signs.
Oh, good.
I have to ask this question about plastic, because we're always so worried. Is it like some type of environmentally friendly plastic or not?
I would have no idea, and I don't care, I'll be quite honest.
I just
I don't
think about all the
manufacture it.
water going through those culverts
Yeah.
and,
Well, if that's the case, then the entire country is in a problem,
I know,
because they're all going that way. The metals aren't any better, they were galvanized.
I know.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
sorry. I
That's,
don't-
it's a good question for EJ Prescott, to see what they have to say about it, and it's probably right on their website.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Over to section E, road names, Joel, if
Yep.
you could look at that.
So, road names, we share a zip code with Upton. We do all our mutual aid with Bethel. You guys wanna take a guess on how many roads around here start with river? So I work really hard on any new road names that come in to, I have the applicant, hey, submit me 3, 4, 5. Give me, put them in order, which one's most important to you, and I'll look them up through our records. Everybody wants something to do with ski, which we don't want. Somebody wants something to do with Sunday River. Nope, you don't get any of that, and you don't get any more rivers, period. We have Riverview, River Valley, River Look, we have river everything. So we have to work hard to make sure that when you dispatch that over these little pagers, which are so great to hear through, that it doesn't sound like anything else. So that's why that paragraph is worded the way it is. And that's, as 911 officer in any town, that's what we're all working towards, is to make sure we don't duplicate or sound like we have the same road names.
And it's problematic when you have a street and a road and they're both named the same thing, too.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Or even similar.
Or even similar. Yeah. You don't know how, developers outside of this area, when they send me, like, let's say a cell phone company, Skyway. Does it look like Skyway to you, buddy? It's like it's Skiway.
So, Joel, are you comfortable with that paragraph, or do we
No.
need to insert the reference to the town addressing ordinance?
You could say addressing officer and must meet the addressing ordinance.
Okay. I will put that down as a possible change. I think that the effect is the same.
I agree.
Okay. And then there's just one more minor change over in section G, subparagraph 3, where we insert appendix 1 again, just for clarification of where to find exhibit A and B. So, in road design standards, obviously, section A2 is a change that needs to be looked at, and further discussion as to whether or not to include it, or reword it a little bit, and then give it to the Workman Thompson for their review before we make a final decision on that one. So if anybody comes up with wanting to reword that or something like that, please let me know. And then the 2 new paragraphs, 5 and 6, in section B, concerning road design standards, where the footnote was pulled out and made a little bit more noticeable.
I think for clarity, that makes sense to have it as its own paragraph.
All right.
Ted, you've really done a phenomenal job with this. It's pretty, yeah.
After it passes town meeting,
Yeah, we'll see, yeah. We'll see how much you get eaten up by it.
All right, let's move on to parking entrance design standard and entrance design standards. And the first one is in section A3, where we've inserted, in along with municipal, private roads. Section A is a bunch of general guidance. It really doesn't give you any concrete standards that have to be applied, but they talk in general conceptual ideas of what should a developer do when designing a parking and entrance.
Ted, quick question for you on 3. Why is it there also or in there? Is that,
Because it's municipal and or private roads. They're two different, you have private roads that can be, separate from town roads.
yeah,
At least that was my thinking on it. Does it?
I just didn't know if it needed to be in there as or, but just and private road systems, it just in that it's,
I guess I wanted to make sure that it was clear
because
that.
you have public and private, you use public and private above, and then you have municipal and or private road systems below. So I wasn't sure why you just did and above and then you did and
Public
slash.
and private roads by providing adequate location numbers and control. Okay, so
I was just wondering if you're using the terms for
Just-
public and
just
private
put
roads
and, just get
above,
rid of the or?
should that just be, instead of municipal, should that also be public and private road systems? And I don't.
Yeah.
But
but
private
I don't
roads are
know if
also
it-
public. I can
Oh,
access
I see what
private
you're saying, one
subdivision
is
roads.
municipal. I see
One
what
is
you're
owned by the
saying.
municipality, right.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So one may be public, but it's also private.
Could
and
be.
could be municipal.
Yeah,
Every time
Interesting,
you
yeah.
go to Southbridge.
yes, you're on a private road,
You are on a private road
But
after,
it's
after
open
timber.
to the public.
correct.
That,
But you're also on a municipal road getting to.
getting to it,
Right,
and then you
right.
transition to, same
Private.
thing, it's the same thing on Monkey Brook.
Going to
You're on a
Jordan, yeah.
municipal road, and then you transition to a private road.
It may make sense there and or, I'm just asking that question and that it.
Yeah.
if
You
anybody
know,
else
that's
is-
what we're doing this for. Let's go down, take a look at A7, at the first page. This one I just noticed as I was prepping for, just before the meeting. LD 427 introduces the concept of a designated parking facility,
Mhm.
which is in essence what we're talking about here. Only here it says the planning board may allow the required or provided off-street parking be located within 300 feet. So that is a much tighter constraint than what 427 allows, which is a half a mile. So you're talking 1,000 feet instead of just 300 feet. I'm going to look at this paragraph and see if it needs to be reworded to be more in line with 427.
Because that's the one that we are making changes.
That's the one, yeah, that's the one
That's now.
that deals with parking and is
Yeah.
in effect now.
Yeah, that makes, yeah.
And as I said, I just caught this one tonight as I was reading through this just before the meeting, so I put that on my list of things to look at. Any questions or comments on that? All right, then, paragraph 9 on section A, I'm proposing to move it to section C. No changes, just up and move it.
Just fucking move.
And, I just felt that it was a better fit in section C.
Oh, over there.
compared to general requirements.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, specific, you know.
Any questions on moving paragraph 9 to section C, or subsection C? Okay, so let's talk about the new subsection, vehicular entrance design standards. So, first, we probably should go back to definitions and.
Did you move it into sections? Did I
Yeah, I'm
not
looking
see
for
it?
C and I don't see it in
Yeah.
C.
I
It
don't
is,
see it
it's
moved
down there at the
over.
bottom,
Yeah,
at the end.
Oh, it's just, so you did add more to it, you add, or was C already there?
C was already there.
You added, it. So you
I-
created a new
I-
section, you added,
Right,
I get
I appended, C has been, that paragraph was moved in its entirety from A to
it's
C.
C4.
C4.
It's C4, yeah.
Oh, okay, seeing it now.
and those
Thank you.
notes go to that table.
Probably.
Before, we can get back to it, well, it sounds like we'll get to that.
No, it's
Probably.
fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
See it before.
we are looking now at the proposed section B, vehicular entrance standards, and I think probably the first thing that we should do is go back to definitions and read vehicular entrance standards. Or vehicular entrance, I should say.
Second or last page.
Right there, yeah. So, the definition of vehicular entrance is, right. So with that definition fresh in our minds, we can now look at section B. And the objective of B is to establish a separate set of curb distances, as well as reinforce sight distance and stopping distances for vehicular entrances, which are more accommodating than the curb distances set up in the previous section for roads.
So for clarification, this section of B, if you're just a single family home, you could just ignore because
Yes.
it's only for
Yes.
multi. Okay, so you can
It's
just
for
ignore that.
commercial
And
site plans and multi-unit subdivisions.
Boy,
And
Joel, there's a lot you have to know.
the previous UDRO did have curb distances established in the road design standards, which may be too large or too long, or not realistic for a vehicular entrance. Now, the challenge here is in the definition, and we might also want to look at the definition of road, in that even with the new definition, any road that is established by a right-of-way, so for instance, in a multi-unit subdivision, the land that the subdivision is built on belongs to the HOA. And somewhere in the declaration of that HOA, there's probably an easement granted to each member of the HOA to cross the common element, which becomes a right-of-way. And by our old definition, that would now become a road, and we would have to apply the road standards, which is created all sorts of havoc this summer. So to work around, to address that, I have developed a vehicular entrance design standard with much smaller curb distances. And a curb distance is also defined in the definitions, but it's basically the distance from an intersection to the entrance.
And is this, Ted, you, just a little red flag came up to me there when you said you designed, you came up with.
Well,
Is this based on
I-
traffic?
This
Like
is,
some
this
based
is based on standards used in planning.
Okay.
It's not, I did not.
Okay, I'm just clarifying that one, that this isn't, Ted
No, this is,
Ted at
no,
home was thinking
no,
about
no,
it,
no,
I'm gonna.
no, this is looking at curb standards that are used in planning in general.
Okay, yep,
And saying, okay, and then looking at trying to accommodate, our comprehensive plan in maintaining the character that we want for the town. So, do we want, or is it safe, or to have, be able to have vehicular access points that are 25 feet from each other? That's, so this is, I put this together in order to, because the previous UDRO didn't mention anything about entranceways.
Just one quick question. Joel, have you read all this carefully, like just in you have a lot of experience out in the field with this? Does this all make sense to you? Is there anything of concern from what you've
As
seen?
far as private driveways, whether it's to a subdivision or townhouses or multi-unit family, dwellings, this is a smaller standard than the classification for a road. And I'm okay with this.
Yeah,
I mean, this isn't gonna be allowed on Route 26 or Route 2. We're not doing 60 miles an hour
yeah,
for this type of standard. We don't have control over those two major arteries.
Yeah.
But for our roads, yes, I like this,
Yeah,
because we need to do something other than our road standards for entranceways. Yeah.
And the task for us as the board is to look at the numbers I put down and are they okay? Should they be more stringent? Should they be more lenient? That's the question. This is open, as I said, this is the first cut. We're trying to define an area that was very poorly, if defined at all in the current UDRO.
So the manuals that were used for this were DOT,
Okay.
MMA recommendations.
Okay, great.
And did we also use the fire for part of this?
That's coming up in the next.
That's
Okay,
different,
so
that's a different
we
section.
did look at some of the
Oh,
DOT, okay,
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
perfect, okay,
Yeah.
that's good, great.
Yeah, we didn't take somebody else's ordinance and just plagiarize.
Or even just make our own up.
No, we did not do that.
Yeah, perfect. Not that we can't, you guys can't have great ideas with it, it's just sometimes the
Sometimes it's nice to have the math
transportation
back us
stuff,
up.
yeah.
We like engineers behind us.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot to digest here, and I'm sure we'll be coming back here, but what I would really like is, for like the table in B down there for the intersection road type, the adjacent street classification, what's the minimum corner clearance or curb distance that's allowed. And again, this is a first cut. We can, as a board, discuss and can hopefully come to a consensus as to those distances.
This is not to say that it doesn't have to meet site distances for speed limit. This is just intersections distances. So when I go out and look at a 35-mile-per-hour road, I need 305 feet of sight distance in either direction.
Yeah.
To make sure it's safe to cars for pulling out and they have the time to do so.
Yeah.
So these are just curb distances.
Well, we
Not
also
site
do talk about site distances in subparagraph 4.
It
that
doesn't
there's,
talk about speed limits in that.
Well, we're talking about vehicular entrance ways, which by right now, and again, this is, I arbitrarily made a vehicular entrance, a road that is no longer than 500 feet long. So, you know, and it's still a road, but instead of having to meet the specifications for a primary, secondary, or neighborhood road, we now have a vehicular access, which is a specialized road, but it could be, may have to be built to a secondary road standard depending on the anticipated traffic. So if you had a large manufacturing facility building in town, and it was gonna put in vehicular access to its site that was less than 500 feet long, but because of the anticipated use, tractor trailers, et cetera, it might have to, that vehicular access road might have to be built to the standards of a secondary road when it comes to pavement thickness, et cetera, width, et cetera, et cetera. In subparagraph 3, alignment and separation, it talks about minimum separation between vehicular entrances depending on the type of road. And again, the big difference between a neighborhood and secondary road is that it's, and a primary road has got a lot of traffic and a much higher speed limit. And therefore, the 200-foot required separation there. Whereas on a neighborhood road or a secondary road, you could have your vehicular access points within 75 feet of each other. There's also a requirement for turnaround areas.
one of the questions I have is, and I think the answer is no, will the potential changes to LD 997 and LD 1829, do you think any of this will be, because this talks about multifamily, do you
No.
think this will have any?
No, because we're talking vehicular accesses, we're not talking density, or the number of units allowed on a lot.
Okay. Okay. And does this limit, knowing that housing is an issue in Maine, will this impact the ability for Newry to support Maine's desire to add more housing? Does this?
Affordable housing, you mean?
Yeah, I know.
Well,
It's hard to hear,
those are
it's
two,
like,
those are two
well,
separate.
two separate things, so I
two
would
sep-
I would just say housing for now,
Yeah.
and then whether it's affordable housing or somebody's fifth home, that's, those are two parts there, but.
I would think not, because we're talking multi-unit dwelling, which by the new by our definition would be 3 or more dwelling units in a building.
Yeah.
Although under the new 997, depending on if it's a repurposed commercial building, you can have 4. You can put in 4 units before you have to call it a subdivision. It gets to be a little more convoluted.
Yeah.
No, yes, I'm sorry, you said that right, yeah, once it hits 5, then it's a subdivision.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's for repurposing an existing building.
Mhm.
If you're building a new building, that's different. So it gets, 997 is really, or whatever the number
The
is.
lawyers are gonna draft that part of the ordinance.
It's-
That's why we're waiting for the
it's
dust to
really-
settle.
really convoluted there. But to answer your question, I don't believe so, because
Okay.
we're talking entranceways to multi-unit dwellings, we're not restricting multi-unit dwellings.
No, okay.
And unless you had extremely long and narrow lots, such that one lot to the next would be below the minimum or curb distance. But that's unlikely, you know, the situation here. It's possible, but I
Yeah,
don't see.
doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't sound.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
Other comments, questions? So again, please, after tonight, give this a little more consideration and get your comments back to me, preferably in written form, so that I can, we can address them at the.
You mean at the next meeting?
At the next meeting.
Thank you.
Is the, just clarifying that second last page there, I guess it's the last page, but in the first part of it, so those notes go to the table, is that correct?
Where are you?
Here, there's notes here, and then my question is, do these notes, 1 through, there's 2 2s and 1 3, did those go to the table?
Second to last page.
Second last page
Notes.
of this, well, this.
I have
right
note
here,
one, okay,
Right there, okay.
yeah, well,
Are
yeah,
those supposed to be to that table?
okay,
or
well,
do they
that,
need
that
to
was
be-
an existing table, and those were
Yeah.
existing notes to that table.
Okay, so those notes do belong to that
With
table.
the exception of the note number 1, which is a new one that I inserted, because in order to satisfy, 427, but before we move on to section C,
Okay, oh, I thought we were, okay,
I'd like to just make sure that we are
Oh.
done discussing, section B.
oh, I thought we were looking at, okay, so. No questions for me, up B.
Heidi? Okay. Walter, anything you wanna add? Joel?
No, I
Okay.
like it.
Becky? All right, let's move on to section C, parking area design standards. This section is affected by LD 427. In C1, I just replaced access drives with our new definition of vehicular entrances, as well with C2. I added vehicular entrances to C2. C3 is where we start to see the effects of LD 427. LD 427 affects residential, or should I properly use the proper word, dwelling units, as opposed to commercial sites. So that first table there that is got residential in the left-hand column and minimum number of parking spaces required with a sub-note there, or with a note reference, is affected by 427. And so anywhere where we required more than 1 parking space per unit, it has to be knocked down to 1 per unit.
Do you wanna change those to dwelling units instead of residential?
I'd like to call them residential dwelling units, just because our vernacular has been residential for years and years and years and years.
Yeah, this is an instance where residential is used, and if you go back to the definitions, you can see that we refer to it as a dwelling unit.
Residence, not residential, but.
Okay, now, 427 has a big if or caveat to it. It stipulates that a municipality may not mandate more than 1 on-site parking space per dwelling unit. However, it says that if the developer puts forth a off-site parking agreement that meets the requirements of being within a quarter mile of the development site, it doesn't have to even put in one parking space. So it's conceivable that you have a multi-unit development built with no parking, and all the parking's provided by a designated parking facility that is within 1,000 feet of that development.
Good luck, Sam. People like to park by their spot.
Believe it or not, we already have the equivalent of designated parking facilities in use in the town, and I will refer people to Murrow condominiums that places their overflow parking in parking lot 3 at Sunday River, and Brookside condominiums that puts their overflow parking in parking lot 5. However, neither parking lot 3 nor parking lot 5 are officially designated parking facilities, but the concept is already in use in town.
Clarifying question, is that, say, we're gonna say voters approve this, but say our voters don't approve it. We can't override state law, so would you update the UDRO just for what's out of compliance with state law, or would there just be sort of an addendum that says disregard these, how does that dealt with?
If we did not undertake this project at all,
Yeah,
and just left the
Yeah.
existing ordinance stand,
yeah,
at every application that's brought to the board for review where parking is an item for review,
yeah,
we would have to do a caveat and say, this section of the ordinance has been preempted by
okay.
state
I
law.
was wondering how that would work, okay, yeah.
But if there could be a option B. Let's say all of these changes get adopted, get passed at the selectmen's public hearing, they get on the warrant. We could word the warrant such, and this would take our town attorney to do this, that anything, like this particular section that has to do with 427, that could be a separate vote. In the event that the ordinance changes and edits are not passed, the repeal and replace does not pass vote, then we could have a second question that's just the parking. They may,
Yeah, that would be complicated, but it's possible.
yeah. Just to make our jobs easier at planning board meetings.
Proposed ordinances that are brought to town meeting cannot be amended or changed at town meeting. It's either
Yeah,
or down.
Right.
You just can't be, well, I wonder if you change this. No, you can't. It's either you
Yeah.
go for it or you can't.
Right,
Don't
so
go
we'd
for
have
it.
to have two separate warrant
I was
questions.
gonna say, if you had the separate warrant questions
Yes.
on though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it'd have to be
And
separate.
that would, something that would have to be coordinated with Perkin Thompson drafts the warrant, and we would have to coordinate that with them.
It's an option.
It's an option. Okay, so,
Yeah.
that is dealing with the effects of LD 427. Also, let's see, paragraph 4 was just the carryover from above, so.
So in your notes for that table, in
Okay,
paragraph 3, I think Cindy just pointed out, or maybe it was Heidi, I forget, but if you look at your notes, you have note 1, note 2, note 2, note 3.
oh, okay, yep, all right, thank you. I forgot to update those two, so. Thank you for that. All right, any questions on section 20, parking and entrance design standards? All right,
I've just, residential dwelling units, whatever, and I see that it's multi-unit, what, is there anything separate for, rental, short-term rental, those type, like, I mean,
no, because a short-term rental is a dwelling unit.
right, so,
It just happens to be rented short time. And in section, I think it's either 1 or 2, rental of a dwelling unit is not considered a commercial activity.
where does it say that again?
If you go into the UDRO, and I can't remember if it's
Yeah.
section 1 or section 2, where it talks about what's this apply to? When you look at the list of commercial activities, it says very clearly that rental of dwelling unit is not a commercial activity.
Does that mean you still have the issue that doesn't resolve the issue of somebody renting, of like do the Airbnb and they bring 20 guests in?
What it
Remember that?
What it resolves, it prevents us from being flooded by every single short-term rental having to come to the planning board for a site plan approval for their business.
Yeah, has that been an issue? Parking an issue?
Has that been an
Has
issue
that been an issue with the short-term rentals that are?
for parking?
If you ask the neighbors, yeah. Sure.
The complaints we've had here, they typically like to fill up the cul-de-sacs at the end of subdivisions. So we have, one of our stakeholders very generously made us signs that say no parking.
Yeah,
And that was awesome, because that did help tremendously.
okay.
It's also our right to tow vehicles, so
Yeah.
if we tow one, that's gonna hit Sunday River Enthusiast Facebook page really quick,
Mm,
and then they'll stop.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other issue that is involved there is, a lot of the parking issues I think that you're referring to are occurring on private roads.
Right.
Oh, so we may not, they're not in.
And unless, and we don't have a town constable who can go out and say you're blocking a fire access, nor do we have a fire access
Yeah,
word,
Not
Uh,
yet.
I'm sorry?
I said not yet.
Not yet. So it becomes an issue of enforceability. And the enforcement process that the town has is, and asked the CEO, is rather cumbersome and not necessarily effective.
Thankfully on some of the larger homes that get rented, we have good rapport with those homeowners. And we've been able to call them and say, hey, we had a problem over the weekend, we had 7 inches of snow, we couldn't plow the cul-de-sac. And it gets remedied very quickly. We don't see it again the rest of the winter. There's always gonna be, no different than when we all go on vacation. We go into vacation mode in our brains and we don't think sometimes. So, hey, I get it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Things happen, huh?
Okay, last but not least is the new proposed section 21, first responder, access and fire lanes. And also to provide background and for your leisure reading is an excerpt from the National Fire Protection Association document number 1, section 18.2, which deals with fire department access and what the NFPA would like to see or recommends. NFPA, I've been informed by the code enforcement officer that NFPA-1 is not in the state.
The fire marshal lists it as, it's a standard, not a law. So while we are firefighters in the state of Maine don't have to follow NFPA standards, NFPA 1 is a standard that the state fire marshal's office has adopted. It's a standard though, it's not law. No different than.
There's a standard, it's a rulemaking as opposed to
Right,
to a-
yeah, we use it as guideline.
The standards put forth in 18.2 have been condensed and put into section 21 in such a way that there's no reference to NFPA-1. This is, I'm relying on feedback from the code enforcement officer, who's also the assistant fire chief, and the rest of the fire department to take a cut at this.
Yep.
And let me know what they think about the distances here.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them at first glance look a little excessive, such as if you have a building with automated sprinklers, the closest access, minimum closest access required to that building for the fire apparatus is 450 feet, which at first glance you sit there and say, wow, that's quite a ways to haul hoses.
Yeah.
But the issue here is, again, the current UDRO, other than in section A of parking, which is just general conceptual principles or desires, does not address access to commercial sites or multi-unit dwelling subdivisions. And so this here kind of puts a little more detail into if you're gonna have a commercial site or a multi-unit dwelling subdivision, what you need to allow for in the way of fire lanes and access. It also, and Joelle, this is one where I need to get feedback from the fire department.
Mhm.
It addresses turnarounds for dead ends, and those distances. So if you have a dead end that's greater than 150 feet, you have to have a turnaround. If it's less than 150 feet, you don't.
Okay.
Those are things that need to be reviewed and adjusted to meet the desires of the Newry Fire Department as well as the town of Newry.
Texting him right now, so he'll visit me tomorrow. So I only have one day to make these edits.
Well, yes and no. Any edits that you want before they go to public hearing, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is still open for adjustment up until the end of January by the timeline when we have to get our final draft done so that the select board can certify it and pass it on to the lawyers for review.
Yeah, and it can still be edited beyond that point.
It can still be edited beyond that point, but my goal is to have, except for any substantial comments or significant comments that are brought up by stakeholders, or our response to comments from the stakeholders, is to have this pretty much locked down by the 7th of January. And then after that, the board is going to sit there and say, yeah, let's go with this, let's not go with this.
Okay. Well, hopefully, I'll try to get Alan in here tomorrow.
Okay, that's all I wanted to cover tonight. I will distribute to the board the latest, I think it's revision number 3 of the UDRO. That incorporates, well, I guess I have to put a couple more changes in there, so maybe that will become revision number 4. So that you have the entire document electronically to look at. You already have the first revision, and then this will supplant that.
That one.
You're gonna gonna send that to me and Loretta also, and
Yeah,
Amy.
I'll send that to you. I offered it to you today, but you said no.
No, I didn't want it. Mainly because it's gonna be asked for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, but that, I don't see that what I will distribute first thing tomorrow will probably be close to, but not what will be available for the 23rd for distribution to the town,
Okay,
or to anybody that inquires for it, for the
Okay.
public hearing.
okay. All right. Yeah, I'm trying not to print the UDRO a million times over while we go through this process, because that's gonna be a lot of wasted paper.
No, I appreciate these edits though.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
this was really,
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, it's much better than trying to look at it on the TV.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, we didn't wanna try that. That was a lot of fun, you missed that.
Okay, with that, let's move on to, Heidi, you got anything to report for the comprehensive plan?
Well, you were there with me.
Well, do you wanna do the update contact sheet for?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot I had that in there, didn't I?
Yep.
I totally, Becky, that's your,
Yeah, so I just need everyone to send me their, I have your emails now, but a cell phone number and such, so that I can share it on the contact sheet that we share
it's
amongst.
strictly an internal sheet.
Yes,
Internal sheet,
Yeah.
right. Just in case the meeting gets canceled last minute because of whatever, weather, blah, blah, blah. We have information to reach out to you quickly.
mhm.
That's great, so just send that to me. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you for, that slipped that one, that one slipped under my nose, my review, it goes into the agenda. Okay, thank you, Becky. Comprehensive plan update from Heidi, please.
So I attended the last meeting, we were still going over the survey results. Some of the output and graphs, we kind of discussed whether or not they were useful and kind of, well, not kind of, we decided not to include them because too many graphs and too many charts sometimes don't have relevant significance depending on how the data's displayed. Obviously, the comprehensive plan review committee got a lot of feedback, which was great. And I think that it had really good content and good input from the committees. There's a couple of things I think we missed on, for example, was we were discussing restaurants, and then we talked about that might have been really food availability. Because some of the questions, I guess it wasn't defined very well in the question of like, what do you want to see more of? And it was restaurants, and it's like, well, do we really need more restaurants, or do people need more food options? So that's just an example of like a larger discussion that we're having on the inputs. I think it's going really well, and I think that the team has really thoughtful discussions, so I encourage people to either watch if it can be now live, or come and participate or listen.
When's the next one?
The first Monday
6th
in
of-
January.
Yeah.
It'll be the 5th, I believe.
It's the fifth.
Right.
What time?
5 o'clock.
Yep, it's at 5 o'clock on the 5th.
Well, we are
Walter's
gonna
also
live
on
here
the-
for 3 days. Select, comprehensive plan, select board, and then planning board public hearing.
You're making up for all those vacation days you're gonna take.
Thankfully, Monday, I have a fire meeting, I can't be here.
Okay, Heidi, thank you very much for doing that. Joelle, anything to pass along?
Not really, I'm gone starting Monday, I'm gone for 2 weeks. I will have email, of course, I'll answer things as I can. I will be available for the notice, the public notice that said if they want to have inquiries or they want things electronically, I'm gonna make sure I have that on my phone where I can, here's the PDF for the UDRO updates, send. No, I don't think we have, I don't have anything.
Okay, and I believe that Heidi and Cindy both attended the Zoom meeting for MMA. You got some good sleep?
Cindy, what was that?
Some good sleep?
No, it actually was good.
I just, for my own learning style, and process, I would have liked it to not been a webinar and instead been a meeting where you could actually see each other, you could learn who else is doing this in the state, but that's,
I've
My learning- that's just my learning
I've
style.
attended it both ways,
yeah.
because in October, they do have a in-person meeting.
Like, I don't even mind if it was Zoom.
And they, at the same time, they make it a Zoom meeting, but there's an
Yeah.
in-person, and they even feed you too. And by my opinion, by far, the in-person one is better than the Zoom meeting. It
Yeah.
was, the common critique that I get from those is that while the material's pertinent, it really doesn't address the steps in an application review. And I'm working with Erica Buffkins from W.H.A.T to get some training put together on that.
That'd be great.
Talk about that. Where I can sneak that into the timeline here, I'll have to see, but it will probably be maybe like the second meeting in January. It also depends on Erica's availability, because she has got lots of comprehensive plans to write on and whatnot, so. Any other open discussions and whatnot? Our next meeting is January 7th, 2026. That will start off with a public hearing. If you know of somebody who is interested in attending, by all means, have them come.
There's a public hearing at 6?
6 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And to be followed by the regular meeting after that. And material, at the minimum, the draft copy of 30 sections of the UDRO plus one appendix will be available online through request from the CEO. And there may be, if I have time, to put together a presentation that kind of takes this format here,
Summary changes.
this
Yeah.
summary,
Yeah.
and kind of say, okay, this is addressing this and that and whatnot. I can do that, so, to make it easy. Either way, it still amounts
Thank you,
to
Joel.
a lot of changes, some major, some not so major. So, to go with. Walter, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good working session here. This is what we do when we don't have applications in front of us. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second that.
Motion has been made to adjourn. All those in favor?
1.
2.
3. This meeting is adjourned.
Right.
Catch the finale of Survivor.
Priority. We have
I told my
priority.
husband, I'm like, start it. I said, don't say what I meant.
We're still live, by the way.
Oops, thank you.
There we go.